And the target audience, very important. We're talking about the target audience in terms of this is the product, and then there are different levels of the users or stakeholders. So here you've got the operations team, the CAM, the key account managers, the ICT, the IT teams, basically, information communication technology. You've got field teams who are using it on the mobile phones and who are actually going to the field and doing the work. They upload all the photos. The finance and procurement executive team, all of them, they're going to be the key users. And then you've got from the customer's point of view, you've got the facility, property manager, quantity surveyors, contract procurement team, project manager, site manager, who is at the site, who would sign you off, the supervisor, and regional store managers or the regional managers of large stores, banks, or even these train stations. So basically you're talking about the customers who would be using this app or the platform. And then not only these, even the third party stakeholders who are not directly involved, but they'll be using like the regulatory bodies, authorities, auditors, controllers, quality assurance people, and then competitors would actually kind of look at this and then say, okay, what is it? And there are a lot of other competitors in the field, right? So how would they be perceiving us? Because this is the first time something of this magnitude has been done in this industry, and we were the front runners, we were the pioneers in this to use technology to deliver service like this. Property developers, and then the community when you talk about machine rig and everything else. So basically you're actually kind of engaging the farmers in the community who have got the equipment to carry out this, the cranes and the diggers and everything else to be able to do the work, the suppliers of the equipment, the members of the public. So you're really talking about reaching out to the larger communities of users at this point of time. Each of these has got a stake into this product. So you're trying to understand, of course, that you can't leave at that, but of course, we did a lot of detailed 400-page document following this to make them understand what is the importance of these. We explained everything, how each of these user community has got an interest and investment into TotalView, the digital platform. And then we talked about when this will be used. So it could be used on the site. It could be used by the works team. It could be used to come up with the schedules. It could be used by the finance team to come up with the costs and pricing. So at the site, you can create new sites, change site info. All of these could be done by the CAM, by the key account management team. You can also get to do this equipment by all these different people. You can get to see the site visits. You can get to see before the site by the field team. So you talk about this in the context of the larger context of usage, the environment, how they use it to do what kind of work. So what kind of outcome and output. So according to this office staff, for example, the office staff would have a different goal, different reason for using the platform compared to, let's say, the field teams, because they use the mobile team. They actually take the mobile app and they use it for on the field, actually before doing the work and after doing the work, photos and getting the signatures of the supervisors, as opposed to the customers using it to understand, to add new sites, to actually look at the contract that they have with this company, understand what work has been done. So you look at it from the context, from the point of view of the users and their needs and their goals and the expectations of their work and how they actually get out of this platform. Each of them has got different need, different goal, right? So you need to understand that and you need to capture that in the vision and the roadmap. Otherwise, it gets muddy. It gets really difficult for you to prioritize who are your key stakeholders, who are your key customer base that you should start working with to provide. For example, in this case, we decided customers and field staff are the most important. The internal office team can actually wait. They can work still on the Excel sheets and the Access database because that's not of important. They can still get the work done, but it is really important for us to provide the total view, the transparency and the trust factor to the customers. And to do that, the field teams have to have the mobile app to better have better quality photographs and get everything better. So these are the two set of users roles that we focused on and started delivering the product to their advantage, and also the operational team. So you see that we're not really talking about when in that context. We're actually talking about who would use this application in what way, because each of these has got a different stake into the product. And then we also captured where it would be used, right? So we are It could be used on the field in the form of mobile phone, tablet by the field teams, where they go to the shopping malls, to the stations, to the to all these big stores, department stores, to do the work. So these are the workers who actually get to do the work. So they would carry this phone, they would take the photos of before and after the work, and then they would capture the job details, what has been done, select everything, and then say submit, and get the signature of the supervisor, site supervisor who's there, right? So this is one version, one context of usage. Whereas in the office, it would be a PC or a desktop or a telephone that would be used by the key account managers, the operations team, to actually add the sites, to check with the customers, to say that this has been the work that is done, raise invoices and all these things, right? It could also be used at home by some of these people. Like that's the reason of this conference, right? We're talking about online, having online webinars, online sessions, online teaching, online learning, online working, work from home. So it's all about that. So how can it work at home? So there was no platform before that would actually enable these teams to work at home. So if it's snowing, for example, if it's really very cold, they can't even get out. So you can actually sit at your home. You can actually get to see what is happening in terms of the snow clearance in Glasgow, in Northern England, and in Wales. So you can actually get to see everything sitting at home. So again, that's a very important a means of communication. So you actually can understand that we are not stopping at a high level vision. I want to be the best leader in the services maintenance industry. You can't just stop at there, because that needs to be translated into reality. There needs to be some way that you actually capture that and make sure that that is realized, that is translated into a reality. And that's what we have been addressing in the last few slides, right? What is it? Why it is important? Who is it meant for? When is it going to be used? Where is it going to be used, and how? And the how part is basically because this was the vision that we created initially. We laid a roadmap for this, right? So this is how we're going to develop this platform and make sure all these questions are addressed slowly and surely. So we came up with a kind of a roadmap for this product. So I actually said that this is going to be a customer knowledge stream, and that there's a product development stream. So we will create a product roadmap. We'll start with the product backlog. We'll start creating user stories. We'll start creating collaboration diagrams, create wireframes, work on the architecture and design, develop, test, deploy. And this is going to be an iterative one. And that's why you can see it in the loop, right? It's not going to be just one-time activity, the agile mode. So we're going to, I'll show you some of these wireframes, some of the stories that I've been creating, the wireframes that I created, the class diagrams, collaboration diagrams, use case. I'll show all of them as we progress into the next sessions in the near future. So you can get a clear idea how we started off from a 30,000 feet view to actually start delivering something one by one, the sprints, first sprint, what we delivered, second sprint. You actually get to see it is taking a shape and a form, and then customers could actually use it and give feedback. So the vision is no more a vision of just a dream. It's actually a reality. It's getting into a reality, but slowly and surely. It's not something like a big bang that you actually can achieve in 2 years' time, but you actually achieve in the first 1 month, 2 months of time. You deliver one thing, and then after that, you deliver something else. Incremental, iterative development, the agile way, right? And then that is the development stream. And then I also consider another thing, basically a customer knowledge stream. So you can't just do it on its a standalone. You can't just be on your own, just working on your own silos, right? You can't just think about, okay, I've got this idea, I'll go work on it, I'll create something and come up with a fantastic product, because you don't have any inputs or insights about who it's going to be used for and how they're going to use it. What are their goals? What are their expectations? So what I did was I actually conducted stakeholder interviews. First one, which is basically the internal ones, based on which this whole vision was created. That's done. And then I drew the insights from those stakeholder interviews and created this vision and roadmap. And then I created the customer profiles based on my initial understanding. I'll show you all those profiles, how they created the user profiles, the personas, and then I created the interview schedules with those prospective customers. I've had details interacting with them, created gap analysis in terms of what we wanted, as in the stakeholders internally, and what the customers wanted out of this. So there's a gap. Remember, we talked about the identity versus image. So this is what the stakeholders thought that they needed, versus this is what the customers really needed from the product or platform. So they would be ideally, it would be ideally a clear match, most of the time, but then practically it's not, because there'll be always some kind of a gap. So that's what we're trying to understand between what you want as a company versus what your customers would need really. So I actually did a lot of different user studies, going out to the Tesco's, the P&G's, and talking to a lot of different companies in the UK. I did that for about a couple of months, and then I came back, created this whole set of gap analysis, affinity analysis, and then from there on, we gathered the insights, and then we started with again, all these insights are going into the product backlog, because that's what is the whole purpose of having the customer interactions, to get the feedback, to have that. And then we created a product, a small little prototype, and then we went live with that, and we showcased that to the alpha testers, the people who agreed to have the first go, and then we got the feedback, and that's how we got to work on this for about a good 1.5 years. I worked on this project, delivering the releases in multiple iterations, and about every 2 months, 2.5 months, we started releasing something as a feature, and it was really well accepted. So we'll go through that journey, a detailed journey of how we developed, what kind of wireframes were created, how user interviews were done. I'll show you all of those in the next few weeks. Very interesting. So this is the roadmap. This could be a roadmap, and I'll show you some of the examples of roadmaps as well. But this is basically what we're talking about in terms of a roadmap. Of course, all it lacks at this point of time is a timeline as to when you would like to achieve this, complete this, but that's something which can be done, which can be added. If it added that in the later versions of this. So that gives you a kind of insight into what a practical way of defining the vision, how you can actually kind of achieve that. I'll also show you a few other examples so you can get an idea in terms of what are the alternate ways of achieving this, defining the vision and having a roadmap, and how this actually can get working in an agile development mode. So that's what is the topic we're going to discuss next, as to what is this product roadmap and how does that actually fit in the context of agile development. Again, I would like to actually use some of the examples from real life case studies and real life projects. So I will actually show you an extract from a real product roadmap that I've created for one of the clients, again, trying to take all the confidential information away. And again, this is again for the roadmap, for total view, the one that we just discussed, and I'll show another one for a different client. So you get to see the different flavors. So it could be as simple as I said, this was done a while ago. So this was a roadmap 3.0.0, which is the major release. And then we're talking about some timeline there. And then the functionality is, I've mentioned that functionality in terms of what are the features that we're going to deliver as new features. What are the new features? So it could be like action used by field team, weather forecast information, customized report for users, customized alerts when the team came in and did the work, when the team finished their job. So receiving the customized alerts and notifications on their mobile phones via text or by email, whatever. So that's something, there's a new functionality that would be added as part of this release, the 3.0.0, the new version of this. And then some of the changes would be the updates to the snippets. Snippets are basically the widgets that we created on the UI to manage the expectations better, to show the information in a much better way, so they can actually change the color, change the way it looks. So that's why it is called a snippet. So very, very beautiful way of representing. The design was well received by the customers and users. Perhaps I'll show you some of those in the next few sessions, so you can get to see how it all translated from the vision to the reality. And the site and visit details pages, which were done as part of the 1.0.1 and the 2.0.0. So we are proposing some changes. We got the feedback from the customers about add this, change this. I would like to have the thumbnails of the site shown with the option to move and navigate to the next one. So if there are multiple photos of the site, so something like that, and same with the visit details as well. So here we are trying to make the amends, make changes to the existing functionality. And then the issues and bugs, some of the issues that we need to work on, the defects, was that the extra work stream, that particular functionality, missing sites to the site ID is not mentioned in the tender. So again, let's not get into details of that, but that's something which you need to fix the defect in the upcoming major release. And the non-functional ones are basically responsive design. We need to have responsive design. The first one was the first version, when we released it, was not really responsive because the technology did not help the tech stack that the customer had. We just went ahead with that. So we didn't have that kind of responsive design initially, but later, in fact, Satish stepped in and he created the designs and he created the web friendly code so that it actually could work on the mobiles and tablets as well. So that's the responsive design aspect. So that was not there in the previous versions, previous releases, and we're proposing that. So we can see, get to see that there's a functional stuff, there's a non-functional aspect of it, refactoring, performance tuning, blah, blah, blah. So here, this is again the roadmap. If you get to see what I'm trying to say here is essentially what we're trying to do is to come up with what we wanted to do within the new release and in the next few versions of the build of the product. That's what we need to mention clearly in the roadmap. There are no details. If you look at it, we're not getting too much in details there. What would be the screen size? What is the layout? How many functions? What are the get set methods? What is the database? We're not talking about detailing here. We're talking about what needs to be done, and perhaps some why there. Yeah, why are we doing this? Some motivation. That's it. So this is a roadmap. This is a proper example of a proper roadmap. And again, we talked about going forward with this version. We said that this is the process that we'll be following going forward for this, to implement that, define the roles and responsibilities of the team, define the requirements, scope and realm, blah, 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 gather feedback from the customers. So we are mentioning daily stand-up Scrum meeting, and then some of the other Agile, as I mentioned, we've followed Agile development for this. We used actually Scrum. We're going to discuss that tomorrow anyway. Tomorrow and day after, we're focusing only on Scrum as an Agile methodology. So I'll walk you through some of the important facets and aspects of Scrum, like all the roles, the practices, the principles, some of the ceremonies like sprint planning, daily stand-up, sprint review, sprint retrospective. We must know this because it's going to actually set your understanding of Agile methodologies, because Scrum is very, very fundamental methodology across all the teams in the world. So the best thing is to actually get a proper understanding of Scrum, and then you can get onto the next levels, next methodologies like Lean, Kanban, all of that. We can discuss them as well. So we'll discuss this anyway in detail tomorrow. So you can see that we have also said that we need to have other Agile processes like Jira. We'll use Jira for this, Alfresco for document management and stand-up meetings, blah, blah, Skype. So the tools and other techniques. So you get to see that this is a roadmap. This is actually a real life example of a roadmap that we have actually set for the customer for a product. So you understand that here we're not talking about the detail, we're not talking about the implementation of the solution things, but we won't actually specify the tools, the techniques that we're going to use, what is to be achieved by when.